Welcome to the Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life with Vickie Washburn. Vickie and her guests will share their journey of the golden years and how they're creating a vibrant life. Topics will include family, fun, life, love, travel, and everything Boomer. You too can have the best of your vibrant life now. We are broadcasting from Global Voice Radio every week, and now here's your host, Vickie Washburn.
Hello, this is Vickie Washburn with a Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life. Today, I want to spend some time talking with you about a subject that I think we all need to take a closer look at. That subject is judgment. I see judgment in so many areas of our world that I think that we really need to take some time and step back and look at it seriously. You know, judgment can come from a lot of different things. We judge the way others look. We judge the way they dress, the way they talk, where they live, what their religion is. And because of that judgment, it creates fear in us. And when we fear something, then our reactions to those things can be violent sometimes. And that is not good at all. And we're seeing that across the world, that people are judging each other and fearing each other, when really, when you get down to it, we really all just want the same thing. We want a good life for our children. We want to be able to feed them and take care of them. We want to be able to be happy and to worship our God in the way that we want to, and to be able to live without fear and to be loved. And really, when you get down to it, judgment is just simply being out of alignment with our true nature. And our true nature is love. You cannot be in a place of judgment and be in a place of love at the same time. Judgment, when you are in a place of judgment, you are separated from whatever you are judging. You are separated from love. You are separated from the person or the thing or the place or the event that you are judging. You know, even the Bible tells us that we are not to judge. And if we step back and stopped and looked at others in the way that God sees them, instead of seeing them from a place of judgment, we would see their hurts and their pain and their fears and their insecurities and their love and their hopes and their dreams. And their desires. So let's look at this thing called judgment. As I said earlier, judgment is really just a separation from our true nature, which is love. God created us to be love, to be loved, to give love, to surround ourselves with love, to share love. And when we separate ourselves through judgment, you know, we Christians separate themselves from Muslims. Muslims separate themselves from Jewish people. White from black, male from female, young from old, old from young. I hear judgment in everything all around me every day. I hear older people talking about the millennials and how they're lazy and they're, entitled. And I hear millennials talk about how older people are out of step with reality and not tech savvy and not this and not that, and how the older generation has created this chaotic world that we live in. When we do that, we are separating ourselves from those around us. Millennials are no different than anybody else. They're no different than we were when we were young. They're no different than our grandparents were when they were young. They're young. That's it. They're young. They're finding their way in the world. And if we would quit judging, they might come to us for help in finding that way. And we could share our knowledge and our wisdom in love instead of through judgment. Judgment creates so many of the things in this world that we all want to see come to an end. This separation from love is the force behind everything, from playground bullying to systemic racism, even terrorism. It creates this divisive time that we are living in. We have become separated from each other. The Bible tells us to love others, to love our neighbor as we would want them to love us, to do unto our neighbor as we would want done unto us. We can't do that when we sit in judgment. When we are judgment, when we are in judgment, we are saying that they are bad and we are good. We can even sit in judgment of ourselves. We judge our actions. We judge how other people see us. We judge the way we look. We judge the way we feel. And this self-judgment can be very destructive. I read an article not too long ago that said that Americans were more depressed, more hopeless than ever in any other time in the world, in history. Why is that? Why is that? It's because we have separated ourselves from each other. We have separated ourselves from the world. We have separated ourselves into groups, with this group being good and this group being bad. And if you belong to the wrong group, you're bad. And if you belong to the right group, you're good. And if you fall out of grace with that group, then God forbid your life is over. And we see that starting at a very young age. To quote some things from a book that I recently read, to begin the journey of healing judgment and restoring love, we must recognize that we all have the same problem and the same solution. Our problem is that we are separated from love, and the solution is that we return to love. Now, how do we do that? That is the question. First, we have to acknowledge the judgment. We have to acknowledge that we are judging. We have to acknowledge what that judgment is. And then we have to not judge the judgment. Now, I know that sounds kind of funny, but really, you have to define what it is you are judging. So let's just come up with an example here. Say, I am judging that my neighbor's yard is not well kept. Okay. So now I've acknowledged that I'm sitting in judgment of my neighbor's yard, of my neighbor for not maintaining his yard. Now I can start feeling guilty and judge myself for being in judgment. But that doesn't help anything. So what we need to do is to acknowledge our judgment, but then not judge ourselves for it. But in acknowledging it, we can do something about it. So that's the first step, is to acknowledge our judgment without judgment. Then we need to sit back and look, why are we judging that? What is it in us? What is the wound in us that has caused us to judge our neighbor? Is it because at some point somebody judged you for your yard not being in as good a shape as it should be? What is that thing that is causing the judgment in you? Then we need to put love on the altar. We need to make a conscious decision to put love first. You have to offer up your judgment through prayer. You have to acknowledge it and then be willing to release it, to lay it down, to let it go. When you pray about it, it offers you a shift in perception, which will in turn help you see your judgments through the lens of love and compassion. If you have a hard time finding things you like about a person or about a situation, you can call on compassion. You can remember that that person is a mother or a daughter or a sister or a brother or a father or an uncle, just like somebody that you know and care about. Once you've prayed and cultivated compassion, you'll be ready to shift how you see people that you've judged. We often judge others and ourselves by projecting old experiences into our current circumstances. So you need to take time to look at those old experiences and heal them. You have to figure out where that wound comes from and let it go. And then you need to do something like, they call it cutting the cords. Learning to see how others for the first time set you up for a powerful practice of meditation. When you start meditating on the way you want to feel instead of the way you do feel, then you can start cutting loose those judgments. You can cut loose those feelings of inadequacy. You can cut loose those hurts. You can cut the tie that they have to you. You can cut the cord. Because, sometimes we hang on to those hurts. We hang on to them because they make us feel safe. We can hang on to them because we get something from them. They benefit us in some way. But you have to let them go. Then you have to bring all that hurt into the light. You have to let yourself off the hook for the judgments that you've made, and you have to step into the light and make a conscious decision to walk in love. Whenever you attack another, or sit in fear or judgment, or any form of separation, that is a call for help. What is it that you need help with? Sometimes it's because you're in physical pain. Sometimes that physical pain is caused by an emotional pain. Sometimes you're in emotional pain. Sometimes you're in fear. Sometimes you've been hurt so many times that you don't know what to do other than to put up your guard and to attack before you are attacked. You have to find the root of those pains. And you have to make a conscious decision to walk in love. Everybody is wounded. Everybody has been hurt. We are all innocent children who become deeply traumatized through life. Life can beat the crap out of us. Some of us are lucky and have great parents and a great life, and nothing really seems to touch us. But I don't know that anybody really gets through life without some trauma, whether that is even the death of a pet, or your grandparent, or somebody you loved moving away. All of those things can be traumatizing. When you sit and witness your judgment without judgment, it can become a beautiful practice. When you become more conscious of the ways you separate yourself from others in the world, then you can make a change. You have to make an honest inventory of your thoughts and words and actions. When you can do this and let go of those things that have hurt you and that cause you to sit in judgment, then you can find joy in things much easier. Even when you judge yourself for judging, and we all do it, we all do it. Even those of us, even those of you. I'm not saying I'm very good at it, because honestly, I can be very judgmental. And it's something that I'm working very hard on. And I can be the most judgmental of myself. And I think that's where most of us sit, is that we're most judgmental of ourselves. I can judge myself because I don't feel like I do enough, or that I don't take care of myself well enough, or, I overcommit. And then I judge myself because I'm not accomplishing what I think others expect of me. I can judge myself because I'm getting older and I don't look the same, or because I've gained weight, or because I don't exercise enough. All those things separate me not only from the love of God, not only from the love that He wants for me and that He wants me to give to others, but it shortens my life. When you live in that negative space, it hurts your health. But if you're willing to make a change, if you're willing to acknowledge your judgment without judging that, if you're willing to make a personal inventory and start working on those things, then you are headed down the right path. Real relief comes when you're brave enough to witness the judgment and call it by its real name, which is fear. The root cause of all judgment is the fear of not being good enough, not being worthy of love, and not being safe. When we become brave enough to look at the judgment and fear, we can begin to heal. One of the ways that you can uncover some of those judgmental patterns is through journaling. So I got this from a book that I'm reading called Judgment Detox. So take a piece of paper and write these columns. What or whom am I judging? What does this judgment make me feel? Why do I feel justified in this judgment? What moment in my life triggered me to feel justified in this judgment? Okay, I'm going to read those again. What or whom am I judging? Column 2. How does this judgment make me feel? Column 3. Do I feel justified in this judgment? Or why do I feel justified in this judgment? That's column 3. Why do I feel justified in this judgment? Column 4. What moment in my life triggered me to feel justified in this judgment? Now, if you will be honest as you complete these columns, you will uncover some of those hurt feelings, some of that fear, some of those things that you have carried for a long time that have caused you to sit in judgment. And if you do this over time, you'll start to see that there are patterns in your judgment. You might be surprised by what you uncover. You should ask yourself, how does it make you feel to witness this judgment that you make? Do you judge yourself for your own judgment? Did it bring you relief to look at the judgment? Did it make you uncomfortable to look at the judgment? As you go through this process and you make a conscious decision to judge less and to walk more in love, then you need to celebrate those times. You need to honor the wounds and then allow them to heal. It can be scary and disorienting to let go of judgment because it's a pattern we've grown to rely on. In some ways, releasing judgment can feel like letting go of a friend who deep down you know is not good for you. Even though your heart tells you it's time to move on, you might feel a sense of sadness and loss. You know, sometimes it feels kind of good to judge somebody else and have your friend there with you that goes, yeah, you should hate them. Yeah, they're bad. Yeah, they're this. Yeah, they're that. You know, it's kind of empowering feeling, but really it's just the opposite. It really does not empower us at all. If we are happy and complete, we do not judge. Our feelings of unworthiness lead us to project judgment outward. And consciously we believe that we put our pain onto someone else, we won't have to feel it. So instead of addressing our own feelings of inadequacy and unworthiness, we avoid our pain by fixating on what we perceive to be the shortcomings of others. But really, all this does is leave us feeling empty and alone, which is not what any of us want. Here in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have a guest on that is going to teach us about EFT. And EFT is a really great way to work through some judgment that you may be dealing with that you find difficult to let go of. So, just to give you a little kind of introduction to what EFT is, in case you've never heard of it before, EFT is also called tapping. And there are various points on the body that you can tap. And as you tap these points, you say certain things. And what this does is it disrupts the thought cycle and creates a new thought cycle. So when I have my guest here in the next week or two, Monica will be joining me, and she is going to show us how to use tapping. And if you can get this down, if you can learn to tap for when you are judging, or when you feel judged, or when you feel shame or hurt or fear, it is a very simple process that you can do by yourself, anywhere, anytime. It always starts with a positive affirmation. It always starts with, let me give you an example. So, what you would start with is, I can't stop judging this person. Even though I can't stop judging this person, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. That statement in and of itself sets you up to look at the judgment without judging. There is so much that we could shift in this world if we all just quit judging. If we all learned to love those around us, to not separate ourselves from love, to not judge ourselves. Think how much different the world would be. There is so much judgment right now in the world. The media creates a world where everybody is judging everybody else. It creates this illusion that that's the way we all are and that's the way we want to be. When in fact, I believe that the majority of the world is a giving, loving place that wants to help, that most everybody is there to help. That when we see a crisis, we quit judging and jump into helping others. Wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have to wait for a crisis, if we could just do that all the time? If everything we did and everything we said and everything we thought was from that place of giving, that place of love, rather than that place of judgment. So my wish for you this week is to look at your judgment without judgment. Spend some time, review what it is that you judge, review how it makes you feel, and let it go. I hope you'll tune in the future as we learn how to tap, and we'll go further into tapping for judgment or tapping for shame. And I hope that it will help you all. This is Vickie Washburn with a Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life. Have a blessed week and walk in love.
Host of The Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life. Connect with Vickie at www.globalvoiceradio.com. Tune in next week for another edition of The Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life on Global Voice Radio, where your message and your voices are heard.